They've been tweeting and leaving video comments. A lot of those have centered on the issue of corruption, and that's one of the things that will come up. For those of you at home, of course, remember, if you want to join the discussion, tweet us using the hashtag AJStream, and I'll try to get your tweets into the show.
And next to Malika is Omoyele Sowore. He is a Nigerian citizen journalist with Sahara Reporters in New York City. Omoyele, welcome to the stream.
Oh, thank you.
We're very glad to have you. And it's worth noting that today's topic was suggested by you. We noticed several of our community members asking for a show that examines unemployment in Nigeria, and we agreed it was a great idea. So if you think there's a story that we should talk about in the stream, tweet our producers or Malika or me directly. Just go to stream.aljazeera.com and click About to see Twitter handles, and your story could be the topic of one of our shows.
I'm Amanda Turco. I'm a senior political reporter at the Huffington Post, and I'm in the stream.
Struggling to find a job or a career is tough in many countries, but in Nigeria, it is almost impossible. Unemployment rates are soaring up to 23.9%, according to a National Bureau of Statistics survey. And with the population set to double by 2035, living standards for many Nigerians are taking a downturn. And the problem isn't just a lack of education or skill. In fact, graduates are pouring out of high schools and universities. They just have nowhere to go. It's not unusual to find large numbers of young people selling products on major streets of Nigerian cities. They call themselves street hawkers. With no jobs available, they just roam around offering people all kinds of goods in a desperate attempt to just make a living. Now, the federal government says it's committed to finding solutions, and it promises to create 1.3 million jobs by 2015. Recently, the Nigerian finance minister announced the allocation of $1 billion to revamp roads and power grids. And while Nigeria has taken some steps toward reform and job creation, lingering concerns about corruption among officials makes the public pretty skeptical. They're wondering if meaningful fiscal reform is really even possible. So, what exactly is at the heart of this problem? And why is a country that is full of natural resources like Nigeria facing such serious unemployment challenges? Joining us via Skype from Ado Ekiti is Kayode Fayemi. He is the governor of Ekiti State. Also via Skype is Joe Femi Dugunro. He is joining us from Gebelsberg, Germany, where he is the founder and president of the Nigerian German Business Group. Joe, Governor Fayemi, welcome to the stream.
Thank you for having me.
So, Omoyele, I want to start with you. You know, we're talking about a country that, for all intents and purposes, should be approaching status as a first world nation, not a third world nation. Nigeria is rich in so many natural resources, gold and timber and tin and oil. What's the problem?
Well, let me start by shocking you that the first palm oil kernel that was taken out of Nigeria went actually to Singapore. They came to a research center in Benin in Nigeria, and took that fruit and went to Singapore. And today, Nigeria is importing palm oil from Singapore and Malaysia. So those were countries, that we were supporting. We were paying salaries of workers in Cuba in the 70s. As a matter of fact, Nigeria has so much money in the 70s that, the military leader then said, we have so much money, our problem is how to spend it. So, but where we are today is that we have sold over 500 billions. I mean, we've sold billions of barrels of oil and made over $500 billion in sales of oil alone between 1956, when it was first discovered, and 2000. We don't know yet what we've made in the last 12 years, because all of that is also subject of controversy because of corruption. So there is no basis for Nigeria to be where it is today. As you must have heard from a lot of people that have been tweeting you, there's one reason, or maybe a few reasons only, but they tie to one. That's mismanagement and corruption, and the kind of leadership that has been managing Nigeria's resources between 1960, when we had independence, and today, where we have a group of incompetent people at every level mismanaging resources, stealing and robbing the Nigerian nation and treasury of its resources. Yeah. As of today, there are 2.1 million barrels exported every day. Petroleum products, oil is sold for $83 today. Okay. You can do the math.
And that is definitely a topic that we want to get back to. There are a lot of things that influence Nigeria's current economic situation, education, potential corruption, and the population. And Governor Fayemi, I want to go to you, because the population in Nigeria is exploding. By 2035, it's estimated the the population in Nigeria is going to be equivalent to that of the United States, but shoved into a landmass that's the size of 2 of our Californias. It's a little hard to wrap your brain around. How can the government keep up with that kind of growth? And is it doing anything to influence the population to maybe have fewer children? We understand that average woman in Nigeria has 5 children. Governor Fayemi, can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you clearly. Yes, what can the government in Nigeria do to tackle the scourge of unemployment and poverty that is already ravaging the land? I think context is important. Leadership, clearly, as Omoyele Sowore mentioned, has been an issue. But that in and of itself is not the only explanation that we can give to this. Population alone cannot be the reason why Nigeria is poor, because Nigeria is not the most populous nation on earth. It is clearly not larger than India or China, where poverty has been reduced significantly.
Right. So if it's, I'm sorry, Governor Fayemi, so if it's not just population, obviously it's a combination of things, but would you then agree with Oyemole that it is corruption?
Well, governance failure.
Government failure.
A problem. Governance failure, of course, includes corruption, but it is not exclusively about corruption. It is also about the structure of the Nigerian state that does not give freely of itself to allow government to be closer to its citizens. We have a highly unitary government masquerading as a federal structure. And the center in Nigeria is overbearing, it is too powerful, and it is less accountable to its citizens. When you bring government closer to the people, you tend to empower people more, and those in the leadership are likely to be more accountable to those they're serving. That disconnect is clearly something we have to address.
Well, Governor, sorry to interrupt you, but I want to pick up on a point that you just raised a little bit earlier, and that's on the population. There's tweets here corresponding to that. And Joe, I'll direct this to you. Etta on Twitter says more needs to be done regarding birth control legislation, rising population. My grandfather had 9 children, and my father has direct responsibility for 10 children. And Nasiru tweets, our population has not exceeded our wealth. Corrupting nature of our leaders had worsened our situation as a nation. So that goes back to the issue at heart, which is, sure, there's an exploding population, but there was and should be enough money to take care of that. What are your thoughts on that?
It's not larger than India or China. The problem is not about the birth control. It's about bad management. See, when you talk about corruption, you're just giving it another name. It has been the proper name. People in government in the past and present are stealing the people's resources, and that is what is killing the economy. I tell you what, unemployment in Nigeria may crumble the country's economy before 2015, but no one is telling us the truth. Just as no one has told us the truth about the nation's debt. The debt of the nation is growing rapidly on a daily basis. And I tell you, one thing that we have to realize is this. There is no point in calling for worthless reforms of the existing field system. The system itself has proven rotten to the core. So the system must be wholly changed, and there shouldn't be any half measure in that. You see, traditionally, people marry 2-3 wives in Nigeria, and they have these children because they are looking forward to their old age. But what has happened, those who have even worked in the government, they cannot even get their pension. And somebody will see that a young man who is not about 50 is coming out to say he has stolen this money.
Joe, we're actually having a little trouble with your audio, but Omoyele, I want to go to you. Joe was talking about how the government isn't telling the truth, and interestingly enough, in the context of the unemployment, I want to take a look at a chart here. It says, these are the government's figures, that for people between the ages of 15 and 24, there's a 37.7 unemployment rate, and for those between the ages of 25 and 44, it's 22.4. Those are astronomical, but in the real world, on the ground in Nigeria, do you suspect that the numbers are even higher?
Oh, yeah. They manipulate figures all the time. This government lies and lies, and, they use statistics to lie, and we've debunked it all the time. Let me tell you, the Nigerian government have had several employment generation agencies and programs since 1989. They used to have what they call DFRI, Directorate of Food and Roads, Rural Infrastructure Development. That was succeeded by the National Directorate of Employment, and that when that one went away under the civilian rule, they had Poverty Alleviation Program, National Poverty Eradication Program, NAPEP, succeeded that. And, when our friend from World Bank, Mr. Ngozi Ewela, went back, they came up with another acronym called NEET, which is National Economic Empowerment and Development Strategy. And now she has come back with a new one called SURE-P, Subsidy Reinvestment Program, which was as a result of Occupy Nigeria. But in all of this, they have been lying about the growth of the economy. How does the economy grow without jobs? How do you grow an economy without electricity? How does an economy grow when there are no roads? How does an economy grow when there is no health care for the citizens who are most active? Most of Nigeria's active population are within the age range of 25 and 45. I am 42. I left Nigeria 10 years ago. I've never had a job. I've called back all my friends who we graduated together. Nobody has had a job that he did not create on his own. So where are they coming out with the figures? What I'm telling you today is that almost 80% of Nigerians have no form of employment, formal employment. There might be informal employment, which you can also regard as unemployment if you look at how much it costs to make those employment happen or sustain them. But the truth is that, like Joe told you, the Nigerian system as presently composed is rotten, it's disgraceful, and it cannot reform itself. No matter what acronym they come up with, again, whether it's SURE-T or SURE-P or whatever fraudulent statistics they give you, the truth is that Nigeria is not working for its people, and those people in government know it's not working.
Our community agrees with you. This is a Facebook comment from Agunde. He says, the unemployment rate in Nigeria is far higher than you say it is. I graduated 5 years ago now, and I was at no point really fully employed. I had to make money out of my own wit. On the back of that, I'd like to go to a video comment from a member of our community. Governor, have a listen to this, and I'd like to hear your thoughts after it.
Well, I'm of the view that many Nigerian graduates are unemployable due to the fall in the education sector and poor orientation, which have led to wrong career choices based on quick financial gains, imitations, wrong influences, and unguided preferences instead of passion and long-term goals, thus incompetent for the task. Thank you.
So Governor Rotimi in that video comment there was saying that Nigeria's youth are unemployable. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Well, partly that's true. If you're talking about formal employment, you have people who have education without skills that can make them useful in the marketplace. But that's not entirely their fault. It is the fault of the educational system that does not give them functional education that can enable them to apply themselves. It's learning by rote in a lot of cases. I am having challenges, for example, in my state, where I've been talking about the quality of education and trying to get teachers to improve on their quality so that the students can perform better in public examination and make themselves more useful in society. That's clearly a challenge across the board. But it is also a challenge of structure. Federal government, for example, ought to have no business in basic education.
Moile, I'd like
for the local sector.
Moile, I'd like you to pick up on that for a couple of reasons. One, the governor is talking about the quality of education, but he raises another question, which is, are the universities really doing a good job of graduating people in the right areas? So when they come out with a degree, it's a degree that's actually applicable and that they can do something with.
Well, this is where I disagree with them. The system doesn't work, and, I'm, for example, today doing something different from what I studied. I studied geography and planning in my undergraduate. I studied master's in public admin after that, and I'm into journalism. Let me tell you, if a Nigerian drops on his head and you pick him and take him to the right place to study, he will do well. And you can see that from the valedictory speeches that are coming out now that America is graduating students. A lot of Nigerians are doing well. Everywhere you go, Nigerians are very enterprising, they are brilliant people, but you cannot expect people to just, drop from the sky and begin to perform. That's the truth about the education system. But the fact is that if a Nigerian even graduates under the worst conditions and you put him to task to do what needs to be done and is well supervised, he can perform. And we've seen this happen everywhere. Whenever Nigerians step outside of the country, there's just something wrong about the environment in that country, which is, of course, driven by corruption and mismanagement, has made people not to realize this potential to perform the best they can. When they get out, they work very hard. Our doctors are the best, professors are the best, our nurses are the best.
Well, you're bringing up brain drain, though.
Yes.
There are 3,000 Nigerian doctors in New York City because they can't find good jobs in Nigeria.
Absolutely, because the Nigerian environment does not even provide. I mean, the Lagos State government, who is a member of, whose governor is a member of Governor Fayemi's party, by the way, the ACN, fired all the doctors without reason 3 months ago. We had to fight him to reabsorb them. This is just part of the arbitrary system of governance in the country that destroys productivity.
Joe, Femi Gunra, I want to bring you back in on this. Is the government investing in the right resources to get people to work?
That's another problem. You don't provide it. You can blame all the
Joe, having trouble hearing you again.
You can say that this
Joe, start over for me, would you?
Yes. The problem is not just about just blaming the youths and the graduates from Nigerian universities. There are no good infrastructures in place. You can imagine if students are in.
Joe, I'm so sorry. We are not. Joe, I'm sorry. We are not hearing you well. But we're going to try to get back to you. But we're talking about possible solutions to growing unemployment in Nigeria, and there are people who suggest that just investing in the retraining of job seekers in technical and in vocational education is the right idea, because then they'd be more suited for demands of the Nigerian economy. So we're going to show you a short clip that we found on the Micro Documentaries YouTube channel, and then we can talk about it.
The developments in the advanced countries continue to improve. As technology keeps changing, the workforce will require retraining to be able to cope with the demands. In our circumstance in Nigeria, there is increasing unemployment. This is where vocational and technical education becomes a very useful tool.
The government invested in, and the country generates $70 billion a year from its call centers. What would be wrong with doing something like that in Nigeria?
Well, the way to look at it is that for a country to grow, and you mentioned the issue of India and Brazil and China, you have to look at how much manufacturing is bringing into the GDP. And in the case of Nigeria, we have 4.1%. In India, it's about 70%. In China, it's about 80%. That means people are actually working. There's something to work on. I'll give you another example. The church graduated 8,000 pastors in Nigeria 2 months ago, and all of them got a job. The universities graduate 1,000. Why? Because the churches have taken over all the warehouses where the manufacturing industries are and using them to deliver people from their poverty, which is impossible. The reason why I'm telling you this is that you do not have manufacturing jobs, you don't have electricity, you do not have all those elements and infrastructure that can bring about a country to work. You don't even, if you want to set up a call center in Nigeria, where are you going to get the electricity to power your...
Well, the government says they've taken $1 billion out of the Sovereign Wealth Fund to do power grids and to improve roads. Do you not believe that that's what they're going to do?
They've been saying that since 1986.
Governor Fayemi, do you think it's going to happen? Is that $1 billion going to go to infrastructure to help get the country back to work?
Well, clearly, I come from the school that you never let the perfect become the enemy of the good. There are obviously challenges in Nigeria, but there are strides being made in certain sectors of the economy, particularly in agriculture. In a state like mine, we know we're largely rural, agrarian, and we can utilize the natural abundance that we have in our land to grow the economy of our state. And that's the focus we have here. In a state like Lagos, it's a different kind of focus. But we know that if we organize the agricultural sector very well in Ekiti, we can take advantage of the Lagos market, which is a 3 billion naira a day market.
Governor, I hate to interrupt you, but there's a problem here, and the people of Nigeria feel like they get made a lot of promises and then the government doesn't deliver. I mean, the last 2 years of Good Luck Jonathan, a lot of promises have been made, not delivered. So are you telling us that you would not be surprised by the skepticism of the people?
I do not belong to his party. He's running Nigeria. I am running Ekiti State, which is in the opposition camp. So
but you understand the skepticism that people feel.
Denigrate the policy of their party. The issue for us is that we're focusing on our agenda.
Joe, I want to ask you the same question. Do you understand why people are feeling skeptical, why they're not ready to embrace these plans that the government has put out there just in the last few months?
Hello?
Joe?
Yes. You see, the problem is this. We keep hearing issues about government, talking about political parties. Nigeria is not, this country is not about just the political parties. You can't say because you are not in PDP or you are not in ACN, then what is going wrong in your state does not affect the nation. The nation is one. And we should just walk beyond this attitude of thinking about one political party or the other. There's lack of commitment on the part of the leaders and on the part of the government. Do you see a couple of people who are just young, brilliant people, you can say. They go into the House of Rep. All they need to do is to make sure that they think about the young people in the country, but they feed themselves and load their pockets with millions of dollars and naira. And you see, these young people, instead of looking at leaders that they can look up to and say, these are leaders that are working for us. These are leaders we can emulate. There is no mentorship. There is no degree of sincerity. And now, politics in Nigeria is just about a politics that is made, rich people make politics, smart people play it, while the poor people just follow them blindly. And then, every 4 years, you go back to these people with the same promise, and we keep blaming the military, we keep blaming the past government. Why don't we do something now? There is lack of commitment, there's faulty educational system, and corruption is just a new name.
Well, Joe, our community agrees with that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but our community agrees with that. There's a tweet here that says, Nigerians are brilliant people, but we need the government to provide us with good schools and invest in the right places. And Omoyele, just ponder this for the post show, but there's a tweet here that says, the answer to that question is simple. No jobs are created in Nigeria despite her natural resources because of corruption. So that's definitely something that I want to get into a little bit later. And for those of you at home, remember, tweet us on the issue of corruption and everything we're talking about here using the hashtag AJStream.
All right. Well, Omoyele, Governor Fayemi, and Joe, we're going to continue this discussion in the online post show. But first, we're going to go to Malika, who's got some other story leads that she's following.
A 9-month investigation by Al Jazeera has revealed the presence of a rare radioactive element on the final belongings of late Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. Since the findings were released, the conversation online has centered around the suggestion that Arafat may have been poisoned with polonium. Don't back off from a probe on Arafat. His murderers must be found and prosecuted, Iqbal Jasset tweets. But Sarah Rashid says she's not surprised. She tweets, no offense, but I thought everyone already knew Arafat was poisoned. Well, we're devoting Thursday's stream to your reactions on the investigation, which has prompted calls for Arafat's body to be exhumed. We'll have Al Jazeera correspondent Clayton Swisher, who led the investigation, and a Google Plus hangout. We want to hear from you. Weigh in on this story on our Facebook page or on Twitter using the hashtag AJStream. Lisa?
So, Omoyele, when we come back in our post show, I want to bring something up that is kind of a different perspective, but it's being talked about online, it's being talked about by our community. And this is the idea of, is part of the problem in Nigeria cultural? Is there overparenting going on? I mean, we understand that there are kids well into their 30s that still get money from their parents, and they get looked at as children as sort of a cultural thing. Does that play into any of this, do you think?
No, I doubt it. It's not true. It'll be... I think some of the most independent people I know in the world are Nigerians, especially young Nigerians. They are very quick to, just want to be on their own. They love the idea of independence. So culturally, I think, Nigeria is in the right place to be a very progressive and successful and a prosperous nation. So all of that is there, and it's a very, very liberal society as well.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
We're going to come back for online post show and continue this discussion. Just go to stream.aljazeera.com. And on Thursday, we're going to be talking about what killed Yasser Arafat. It's your chance to speak with our correspondent Clayton Swisher in his exclusive investigation. He's going to be on the show. All your questions are going to go to him tomorrow. So start tweeting us those questions now, and we'll see you to continue this discussion in 10 seconds.